So today we're going to take a look at WWE Superstar Showdown from Gale Force 9. And this game is, it says up to 6 players. And yeah, it really can go up to there. We're going to talk about the up to part in a little while. But you can play it with teams, you can play it, one-on-one or 6 on each other, you know what I mean? All kinds of good things. But this box comes with 6 wrestlers. And I'll say right off the bat, the unfortunate thing is not everybody that we want is included, but it does have John Cena, got Randy Orton, we got Big Show, we have Daniel Bryan, we got Big E, and we got Roman Reigns. Now this is an older game, but still, it's quite a good variety. Now the unfortunate thing is they did lose the license to WWE. That didn't stop me though, because I kind of went a little overboard and a little bit crazy. I designed decks for Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle. I mean, come on, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you had to. And we got The Rock. We have The Undertaker. The Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, Chris Jericho. I'm going to ask you something. Who's that jumping out the sky? R.E.Y. Mysterio. Last but not least, I am a real American. Now, I'm going to, of course, be making more decks and printing them out as I get time, but all of these are available for you up on Board Game Geek if you're so interested. People asked me if I'd share them out, and I will, and I did. I also made something that the game didn't have, title belts, Intercontinental, Spinner Heavyweight, etc., all the way through Tag Team, Hardcore Belt, all of it. And they just give you extra one bonus thing per match for whoever has the belt. And that's just something I did because we like to play tournaments and seasons, if you will. But yeah, I kind of went nuts with this one. So if you can't tell, I kind of like this game. And otherwise, I wouldn't have done all that. I do have a Shawn Michaels deck started, and then I'm going to do a Triple H one because if you don't have DX in there, something's wrong. Because not only can you play this game one-on-one, there's a lot of other different modes that you can play too. For instance, these didn't need to be giant cards, but whatever. So head-to-head is your 1v1. Whoever wins gets 30 points. And that's if you're doing, again, a whole season thing. You can play tag teams, where it's you each get 2 characters. You can play 6-man tag, 3v3, or you can play a gauntlet, where it starts off as 1 versus 1, but you each have 2 other tag team partners in the back, and they only come out when somebody's defeated. And not only can you play as these different match types, but there's also these stipulations. Hardcore match, last man standing, a couple of standard rules, falls count anywhere, submissions, rope break, money in the bank, endurance, and again, you're supposed to shuffle and pick, so they have 3 standard rules in here. I will not be going through all of this today. We're going to look mainly at the head-to-head with just standard rules, the basics, the bare bones. So we're going to take Orton and Cena. We're going to set the rest of these guys aside. And this game has a lot of, there is strategy to it. Don't get me wrong. But it's very much a rock, paper, scissors style mechanism under it, where you're comparing cards to other cards to see if they win, which we will get into. So when you take your characters, where are they? Who do they? I wish I could find other miniatures So we'll make John Cena the blue player, Randy Orton the red. And you can use these little discs if you want to say who's red and who's blue. And it's good if you're doing teams, but when it's 1v1, I don't care enough. This face card is absolutely pointless. Get rid of it. Maybe not throw it away, but if you do throw it away, it's not going to matter. So you'll take your deck and you'll shuffle it. Now your deck has moves in it, like these, like strikes. It has maneuvers. It has grapples. It also has a block, a couple of blocks, and it also has slams. Now slams are your big finisher signature move thing. And let me find John Cena's attitude adjustment. And of course his 5-knuckle shuffle. And he has the STF. Now the reason they're different types is because each one is weak against another one. Now slam is, it always wins. It always counts as a winning card, which is going to make more sense when we're playing. But there's a handy-dandy little triangle here and up here to help you remember that a grapple is going to beat a strike is going to beat a maneuver is going to beat a grapple, slam beats everything, and a block, if you play a block, actually counts as a losing card. So yeah. Now, there are other cards in their decks that you might notice have these special borders. Okay? And as you're playing the game, remember we said you get points? You can actually buy these cards to add to your deck. So you can have an extra attitude adjustment, or an extra diving crossbody, or an extra block, and so on. But that's one of the reasons why you'd want to play the season modes in order to unlock to buy those kind of cards. Alright. I'm going to shuffle John Cena here. What else is cool is you can actually go out the ring, hence the hardcore matches and so on. And then Randy Orton. Elevated DDT, the RKO, the clothesline, another block, and of course Randy's going to taunt. That's his MO there. And it does have a spot for the Superstar cards, which is your main deck. That's your setup. You're ready to go. Not hard. Just you got to get there. And plus, if you had, these title belts, but that's not in the game. That's not the base game. So, excuse me. So you put the wrestlers on. Now the thing is, you draw cards until you get 6 in your hand. And here's where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I learned to count. Here's where I say that you can actually play this game solo if you don't mind it being a little questionable, I guess you could say, in their choices. Because what happens is, what you do is you take cards from your hand and you put them into these different slots. And you're going to compare those cards to whatever your opponent puts down. And the cards that win get to use their icons on the cards. You never know what your opponent's going to put down, so I say, why can't you just do that? And your goal, your job, is to get your opponent to give you all of the cards in their deck, or that's called a knockout, when you get rid of all their cards and they can't play 3 cards out, or you pin them. And we'll cover pinning in a minute. So anyway, we put out our 3 cards, and on the turn, after they're placed, what we do is we overturn the first card, and we compare them. So now, Randy has a grapple, and the grapple beats my strike. So this card gets discarded, and then Randy's thing takes effect. He has 4 power and a stun, which is a good thing to start talking about the different icons on the cards. Now that this 4 power does that much damage to the opponent, and I can cancel it if I give him a block card, and It literally means give. So then they put it aside in a special deck called the Performance Stack, where, you know, just to brag about taking all your cards. Or I can, through a combination, take 4 damage by either giving him cards from my hand or giving cards straight from the top of the deck. So we'll just do, just to speed it along a little, so we give him those 4 cards. Let's see what's done that. Now, the other icon on this thing is a stun, and a stun is really good because if you don't block that, which I would have normally, they're allowed to play another card on top of it that can't be blocked. And that's a move, and that's, we'll talk this thing. Well, in order to do damage, you actually have to be next to him. So this card here would have been pointless, which again is why I was talking about the solo mode and their questionable choices, because there's no way you would have played power and a stun card if you're not next to your opponent. Okay? But that's, you know, we're just doing this to show the cards. Now move says you can move that number of spaces, whether it's diagonal or in up and down, or in orthogonal. I can't even say that word for some reason. That's weird. Now, what else is cool with moving, right? If you're near the corner, you can move into the corner, and you can do turnbuckle moves, which they'll show the little turnbuckle symbol, and that's nice too, is it has all of the info for the moves on the side of the board. However, if you're right next to the ropes, you can also bounce off of the ropes. And what's neat is one, and then boom, 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 boom. You can keep bouncing back and forth all day. But this thing next to it has an M with the power symbol. Now, what in the heck does that mean? Well, I'll tell you. The M means however many spaces you've moved, that's how much damage you're doing to the opponent. So if you're standing here and you go bounce, 1, 2, 3, 4 to get next to the next, that's now a 4 damage maneuver. If he were over here, it would be 5, 6. So you can do a lot of damage with a good bounce off the ropes and this M power. Now, if you were here and you just moved 1 to hit him, well, then you're only getting 1. However, if you were here, you move 1, bounce, bring it all the way over here, it only counts on the bounce right before, so you're not doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're not doing all tons of damage. You would still get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage off. So, other cards include, again, more move, but this is that corner attack we were talking about. So, with a corner attack, you can actually pick your opponent up and throw them into the 3 spaces away, the best way to put it. From a corner square, so if your opponent is in the corner and you do the corner attack, you can take them and you can throw them 3 squares anywhere you want in order to get them away from it. Or it's a 3 power attack. Either one. So that one's always cool. Again, if you win in this grapple strike thing. So let's do the next one just to show you. So Randy played another grapple. He played another strike. So Randy would win again, which is another good thing because it shows this thing, which is a setup. Now, setup is a special kind of card. And what it does is it gives +1 of whatever that symbol is to the next card played. So in this case, it's going to give +1 attack if you're on your next attack. If it would be plus a setup with a move, well, then you get +1 move on your next thing. Oh, we already covered blocks. Oh yeah, here is a move setup one. And last but not least, again, he would lose again, and he would take the damage and so on, but we'll get to that in a minute. Grapple versus strike. So now this one here is pretty cool. This is a good, I did not plan this either. So normally, John Cena plays a grapple. That would beat his strike. But it has a reversal. Now, what a reversal on a card does is it says you can look in your hand and you can play a card that will beat that other one. But you must have one that can beat it, otherwise you don't get to play it. For this case, we played a maneuver. Randy can run a metric ton with this one. Or if he had a card called Slam, and he could play that too, which is, again, your big finisher. Which is really cool that it was Superflex in the corner, but that's a whole other thing. So far, that's really all there is to it, is you keep playing this way until somebody has given up through damage their cards, or you get pinned. Now, what's pinning, you're asking? Well, I'm glad you did. In this case, Randy would have won this round because Randy has 2 cards that are winners. It would have been versus none of his because he lost. So he would have had 3 versus 0. So if you're next to your opponent, when at the end of a round, you can try to pin them. Okay? Let's see. That out of the way. Give it that one. So in pinning, what you have to do is either you give a kick-out card, like we showed earlier. Blocks would have this kick-out symbol. You can either give that to your opponent from your hand, or you can risk it all on the deck. So I would go 1. Oh, I kicked out. Either way, it goes to the opponent. If you do not have 3 kick-out cards, we're going to pretend we didn't have it. We're going to pretend we didn't have it. 2, 3, you lose. Instantly, you were pinned. That's it. End of your match. So that's the only 2 ways you can really lose here, is through this pin or through knockout, when if you don't have enough cards to draw where you can put 3 cards out. You would lose then too. I believe that is pretty much it, because I'm not going to go into all of the different matches, like these endurance matches, Money in the Bank matches. Winning team gets a free bonus superstar card, right? We're not going to go into all of those. But I will say that my kids and I like this game. We've played it quite a bit, and we still have arguments over who actually won matches or not, but in a fun way, of course. Yeah, nothing serious. I highly recommend you grab this if you can find it. It's out of print because, again, like we said, they lost the license, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere. And if you have any questions on how to play that we didn't quite cover, or something that you thought maybe wasn't quite as clear, reach out and let us know. And if you want these extra wrestlers, the cards are out there on the BGG site. I'd encourage you to go check it out and to pick up this game. Until next time, hope you have fun. And if you need me, reach out on the social medias at Laughing Road. We'll see you next time.